he might be hearing the sound, but he's not doing eye contact. And sometimes he responds, like if I ask him, if I come directly, like in the morning, and I ask him, how are you? So he might say, yeah, I am fine. But then I ask him further, what are you doing? And something else, details, if I ask him, then he does not will.
Yeah. See, typically we can say, he has this catatonia. We didn't talk about catatonia too much in the morning today, right? I think I wanted to talk about that. You see, one reason for restraining him is because people with NMS, they can manifest in different ways. One is called as psychomotor retardation. They'll just be stiff, blank look on the face, right? So they will not really respond to your presence also, right? Psychomotor retardation, that means they're retarded, stiff. They can be agitation also, they can be confusion also, and they can be violence also, right? Like previously when he had gone to that state, he was very, very agitated, right? This time he is not agitated, he is not confused also, but he is just. So catatonia basically is a behavioral disorder which may have basis in neurological, as we were discussing in the morning, right? There could be neurological basis to it. So there could be purely neurological causes of catatonia. There could be psychological causes, right? So typically it is seen in schizophrenia patients, right? So the fact that he had fever, of course, if you think in terms of malignant neuroleptic malignant syndrome, then you have something like a hyperpyrexia. Now he didn't have hyperpyrexia; he was 9900. Not very strong thing was not there. But it is believed that about 10% of the patients will go into this state during their tenure in schizophrenia, right? So in our case, we are thinking of more in terms of psychological and drug-induced rather than neurological factor. So even though we are saying that we may do neurological imaging, MR or something, we are not really expecting anything to be there. I mean, I'll be surprised if the MRI starts showing something. Basically, it's going to be more psychological in nature, because he was on what drugs he was taking? What was he taking?
He was taking clozapine, sulpiride, and he was taking propranolol and diazepam.
Of these drugs, of course, propranolol cannot cause. Diazepam can cause. In fact, now we are giving him lorazepam. So lorazepam is a part of treatment. So it cannot. Diazepam and lorazepam are chemically connected, right? So it cannot be the cause. So that also is out. The other two drugs which you mentioned, which one?
Sulpiride. Clozapine and sulpiride.
Correct, right? Was he taking other drugs also in the past, over and above these drugs, or?
Drugs means keeps on changing, but it's related to this one.
Schizophrenia.
Yeah. Schizophrenic type.
Yeah.
So different drugs.
Yeah.
But schizophrenia is fixed mostly.
Yeah. So as Dr. Patil was saying, we should do HbA1c.
Yes.
Has been done? Get it done. You are supposed to do HbA1c in all our patients, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Because as Dr. Patil was saying, a large percentage of these people in any case can become diabetics because of these drugs, because the drugs interfere with behavior, they interfere with metabolism also. So HbA1c should be something we want to do universally for everybody. Just so rampant, absolutely so rampant in our population. So the reason of putting RT, I think that RT has helped him because, see, how long can you put the patient on crystalloids? Patient was on crystalloid for 3 days, right? After 3 days, what starts is protein loss. We require at least about 0.7 grams of protein per kg body weight, right? So if someone is 70 kilos, you require at least about 50-55 kilos or grams of protein. If you give crystalloids, there is zero protein. If you don't give 3 days, 4 days, how much protein loss is there? So much more loss, almost 200 grams of protein gone out. So where does it come from? From muscle mass. Muscle starts shrinking. So as it is, disease will be taking place, correct?